Hearing this wailing sound.
I don't know what that is.
Take me back to old Yazoo. Everything up here is new. I can't stand it, just must land it.
Kevin, the creator behind the YouTube channel Small Plots, is known for his low-key, urban stealth camping adventures. His style leans more into subtle exploration than flashy production, offering a grounded and personal look into what it's like to camp in strange and often forgotten corners of the world. Parking lots, city edges, and in this case, a flooded and eerie forest right near a substation. But what began as a fairly routine solo camp soon unraveled into something far more unsettling than Kevin anticipated. The location for this particular trip was dense, mucky, and almost swamp-like. Kevin chose it specifically for its remoteness despite its close proximity to urban infrastructure. He was familiar with the area and even mentioned being asked to leave while biking nearby in the past, so stealth was critical. As the video begins, he treks through soaked terrain, ankle-deep water, fallen trees, and broken paths, searching for a flat, dry spot deep enough into the woods to avoid detection. What immediately sets the tone for this camp is the terrain itself. The area is filled with ash trees killed by emerald ash borers, and the forest floor is littered with rotting limbs, thorny brush, and flooded pockets that make navigation difficult. He eventually finds a spot far off trail and begins setting up his tarp and hammock. But even as he's working, something about the forest feels off. There's no clear sign of life, no other campers, no signs of foot traffic. Yet the area shows signs of recent human presence.
So there are, you just see on the ground over here, it's not recent, but some of these branches and stuff are cut mechanically. Probably a small electric chainsaw, something like that. So it's very possible. I mean, I already know hunters come back here. That's probably who it is. If the rain lets up, I will go a little bit farther into the woods. I think there are homes this way. I'm not too sure, but I think that's where they are.
Cut branches, reflective markers, and what looks like an overgrown ATV trail give the sense that someone has been there, but not recently enough to confirm safety. As night falls, Kevin's discomfort becomes more obvious.
The entire time I've been here, since I walked into the forest, I've been hearing this wailing sound. Like a some kind of animal. It's actually now just occurring to me. It might be a chicken or a rooster or something. But it's eerie. It's starting to let up a little bit, which is nice. That's the sound, the wail I'm talking about, the wailing. That has to be a chicken or something, right? Something. Kind of sounds like a rooster, like half-heartedly crowing. I'll have to boost the audio on that.
He begins to hear strange, far-off sounds. At first, what he thinks might be an animal, maybe a distant rooster or a bird. But then the sounds shift. At one point, he hears what resembles a high-pitched wailing, and later, what he describes as faint voices. None of it sounds immediately threatening, but it adds an unnerving layer to his otherwise quiet night. The fog in the air muffles sound, the forest is thick, and visibility is limited. Any sudden noise is amplified, and Kevin remains alert, even as he tries to distract himself with dinner. Unable to start a fire due to the soaked ground and constant drizzle, he resorts to making a cold wrap: tortilla, cheese, and pepperoni. He jokes about the sad meal, but it's clear his mind is elsewhere. Every now and then, he stops mid-sentence, looking over his shoulder or pausing to listen. Something has him on edge. After finally setting into his hammock, Kevin notes once again how strange the energy of the forest feels. The electrical hum of the nearby substation buzzes faintly in the distance, blending with occasional frog calls and unidentified thumps. At one point, he mentions feeling watched. It's not paranoia. It's more of a quiet awareness, the kind of feeling that creeps in when you're too far from anyone else to call for help, yet just close enough to society that someone could be watching without you ever knowing. Morning brings sunlight and a shift in the forest's mood. Kevin wakes up and immediately starts noticing things he missed in the fog. As he hikes out, he stumbles upon something unexpected.
Oh my god, it's a boat. Feels pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I've noticed it on the map before. There's a potential place to camp. Yeah, something's over there. I can't see it. Let's go check out this boat real quick before I get out of here. All right, it sounds like it's leaving, whatever it is. Yeah, it's just a boat. Some garbage, yeah. More implied trail going this way, probably to homes over there. Some metal, some rocks. This raised area almost looks like a man-made raised area, like there was a building here at one point, maybe years ago. Maybe where's where that boat came from. Just a weird place for a boat, right next to this berm that may have something to do with the railroad that used to run through here. I don't know. Well, that was a fun little unexpected discovery right next to us the whole night. Just a boat. All right.
A boat, abandoned and oddly parked on a rise near the trail. Not far from it, he finds remnants of concrete and debris, signs that a structure once stood there, long since decayed or destroyed. Intrigued, he follows the path until he spots what looks like a shed in the distance.
Is it a shed? Or is it like where someone's living? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think somebody might be staying there. I'm not going to get any closer. I thought it looked like a big metal shed. It's not. It's like a tarp covering stuff. Okay. Alright, I'm out here.
At first, he assumes it's abandoned, but as he approaches, it becomes clear it's no shed. It's a tarp-covered structure, possibly a makeshift shelter. Suddenly, he realizes he may not be as alone as he thought. Rather than investigate further, he backs away and quickly makes his way out of the woods. Whoever might be living there clearly wants privacy, and Kevin has no interest in disturbing someone who could have been within earshot of his entire night. He ends the video in his usual lighthearted tone, but can't help expressing a bit of unease. He even wonders aloud if someone had been watching him the entire night without ever revealing themselves. It's a chilling thought, one that redefines what kind of threats you might face while camping in urban wilderness. Sometimes it's not the terrain or the weather that gets to you. It's the possibility that someone else was out there the whole time, just beyond the trees. What did you think of this encounter? Let me know. Before the next encounter, I'm proud to announce that we're about to hit 50,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. To celebrate this huge milestone, I've made the 50K special surprise completely free. Just my way of giving back to every one of you who made this possible. It's not something huge, but it is something. To join in, just click the link in the description or head over to nightmarefeelings.com and drop your email. Once we cross 50,000, you'll be the first to know and can claim your exclusive surprise. And once again, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Now, back to the video. On March 24th, 2024, the YouTube channel Into the Void, known for diving deep into paranormal and unexplained phenomena, uploaded a spine-tingling video that would leave many viewers questioning what exactly lurks in the forgotten corners of our cities. Specializing in haunted investigations, cryptid sightings, and encounters with the strange and unseen, in this particular exploration, the host sets out to investigate a storm drain, one of those long, echoing tunnels buried beneath the cities, typically forgotten and avoided. These spaces are often claustrophobic, pitch black, and filled with debris and runoff water. From the start of the video, the setting itself feels oppressive. The constant sound of dripping water, the darkness that consumes the edges of the flashlight beam, and the absolute isolation all contribute to a deep sense of unease. Equipped with only a flashlight, a camera, and a heavy dose of nerves, the explorer descends into the tunnel. The drain starts wide, but he notes that it gradually narrows the deeper he goes, limiting his ability to move or turn around easily. Not long into the descent, strange things start happening. He begins noticing vague shapes moving within the shadows. At first, it's easy to assume it's just a trick of the light, or his mind playing games with him in such a stressful environment. But the shapes return, subtle, slow-moving, humanoid in appearance. There's no certainty of what he's seeing, but the feeling of being watched intensifies. Trying to stay calm, he continues forward, reaching a narrow bend where the tunnel dips and narrows. His voice betrays how rattled he is. There's hesitation in every word. He stops and listens. That's when he hears something distinct and entirely out of place.
Closes off a little bit. I'm really not looking forward to this. I don't know what that was. God. I need to take a breather. What the fuck? Nope. I'm dipping out. F this shit. I don't know what that is. Oh.
A sharp, echoing screech that seems to come from somewhere up ahead. It's not the creak of old metal, nor is it any animal he's familiar with. It sounds almost electronic in nature, distorted and aggressive. Another screech pierces the air, louder, closer, and undeniably directed toward him. The fear becomes overwhelming. He quickly pivots and begins sprinting back toward the entrance. The tunnel walls seem to close in as he runs, his breath ragged and flashlight bouncing wildly in the darkness. Every splash of water beneath his feet is accompanied by the terrifying idea that something is just behind him, chasing, reaching, ready to drag him deeper into the void. Fortunately, he makes it out without harm. Outside, the daylight feels surreal. Safe but shaken, he ends the video reflecting on what had just happened. What could have made those noises? There were no signs of people. The shapes he saw didn't resemble any animals. Could it have been a cryptid? Some as yet undiscovered creature lurking beneath the city? Or perhaps something paranormal, attached to the isolation and neglect of the place? Many viewers took to the comments to share their theories. Some pointed to the possibility of an urban legend creature like a rake or Wendigo-like entity. Others suggested it may have been a homeless person or squatter trying to scare him off. But no one could explain the screeches, not fully, and the strange humanoid figures remain a mystery. Whether it was a prank, a cryptid, or something truly otherworldly, sometimes it's not the remote forests or haunted mansions that hold the most terror. Sometimes it's what waits in the tunnels below our feet, in the dark, echoing places no one dares to go. LPZ is a YouTube channel best known for raw and immersive outdoor adventures. Whether it's solo camping in remote locations, surviving unpredictable weather, or facing off against wildlife, the content is simple, unpolished, and grounded in real experience, which makes it all the more gripping. His videos don't rely on heavy editing or dramatic voiceovers, just the raw footage of a man testing his limits in the wild. But on July 16th, 2016, what started as another routine solo trip turned into one of his most terrifying nights ever caught on camera. He was camping completely alone, miles from civilization in a remote wild stretch of land. Like many of his previous trips, this one was intended to be a peaceful getaway. Just him, a tent, and nature. The early parts of the night were calm. There were no signs of threats, no unusual sounds, and he had no reason to suspect that anything out of the ordinary would happen. But at around 2 a.m., that peace shattered. He was suddenly jolted awake, not by a loud noise at first, but by an overwhelming feeling of unease. Something wasn't right. Lying still in his tent, he tried to listen. Then it came. The unmistakable sound of a lion's roar, echoing through the darkness just outside his camp. The sheer volume and proximity of the roar left no doubt. The animal was close. Very close. Lions don't usually hunt humans, but they are apex predators, and when you're sleeping in a thin nylon tent with nothing but a flashlight, your odds don't feel particularly reassuring. He didn't move. Breathing shallowly, he gripped his camera and quietly began recording. Even with the tent zipped up and lights off, he was exposed. If the animal decided to investigate or saw him as a threat, there would be virtually no defense. There was no vehicle nearby, no weapons mentioned, and no time to build a fire. It became a mental endurance test, staying completely still, barely breathing, praying the animal would eventually lose interest and wander off. Any sudden movement or sound could have triggered an unwanted reaction. His restraint and composure in the face of that fear is remarkable, though you can still sense the anxiety in the way he shifts, breathes, and grips the tent's zipper as if preparing for a quick exit or confrontation. Minutes dragged by like hours. The roars eventually began to fade into the distance, but the damage was done. Sleep was no longer an option. Luckily, he made it out unharmed. though clearly shaken. In his post-event reflections, there's a quiet acknowledgement that no amount of preparation can fully protect you from the unexpected in the wild. And while he often focuses on the serenity of nature and the thrill of solitude, this video stood as a stark reminder. The wilderness isn't just beautiful, it can also be deadly. What did you make of this encounter? Like always, let me know. Uploaded on October 31st, 2021, this unsettling video comes from The Bearded Explorer, a YouTuber known for his deep dives into abandoned and haunted buildings across the UK. In this particular Halloween special, he returns to a site that had already left a lasting impression on him, the remains of a derelict children's hospital, where he previously caught something strange on camera. The first visit wasn't enough to convince him entirely, but it haunted his thoughts. So, in a bold move, he decided to return, completely alone and at night, to see if he could experience something unexplainable again. The abandoned hospital dates back to the 1880s and had served various roles over the decades. Initially a children's recovery facility for infectious diseases, it later became an orthopedic hospital before ultimately shutting down in the 1980s due to serious neglect and mistreatment allegations. Now the site stands mostly forgotten, except for the occasional explorer brave enough to enter. Despite parts of the larger hospital campus still being active and patrolled, the building he explores has long been untouched. From the moment he arrives, the fear in his voice is unmistakable. He acknowledges how unnerving the place feels, especially in complete darkness. This time, it isn't just about revisiting a creepy location, it's about confronting whatever it was he saw the first time. He admits to being terrified and talks to the camera constantly, almost as a way of calming himself. There's no breeze, no open windows, yet the chill in the air is impossible to ignore. He begins to walk through the building, commenting on how certain things seem to have changed.
I mean, it is a little bit windy out there today, but it's not... What was that? Okay, this is the worst part for me. This is the room that had the X-ray, and I'm sure it was. Yes, it is. I can't believe these are still in here. I'm pretty sure there's been more people in here since I was here last. Because I feel that stuff's been moved around a little bit. Look at that, I never noticed that before. It's a candle holder. It's still got a candle in it, that's amazing. So yeah, as I was saying, it feels to me that more people have been in here since I was last here. I mean, I did come back here with Taser, and it was about 3 or 4 days after this happened because it was playing on my mind so much. I felt that I had to come back here and just come here again and just see, you know, try and find a reason, you know, like an explanation, if you like, to... Whoa. But I never put... This is weird. I think it is just... Whoa. Okay. Okay, that's scary.
Objects that weren't there before, new boards sealing off areas, and subtle rearrangements that suggest someone else has been inside since his last visit. But it's not just the atmosphere that's disturbing. While exploring one particular section, he mentions a very specific location, the spot where, in a previous video, he captured something behind a blue chair. He'd seen it with his own eyes first, and only realized later that the camera had recorded it as well.
I just can't describe to you guys, like, how scared I am right now. I'm just absolutely in myself. I really am. Why am I doing this? Why am I here on my own, walking around this abandoned hospital that I saw something? I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a ghost. It wasn't a shadow. I mean, I can show you guys now, right? This is basically where I was standing. This is where I was. The camera was literally there. This is what you saw. Basically that. Now, I heard something, I cracked myself, I ran back here, and as I picked it up, I went like that, and then I saw something just behind that blue chair. Now, bearing in mind I saw it with my own eyes, I didn't realise I had it on camera, but a lot of you guys were saying it's shadows, it's this, it's that, but, you know, I just cannot stress to you enough that this wasn't a shadow. I actually saw something move with my own eyes, and I cannot reenact that. You know, that there is no shadow. What the hell was that? Oh, I think it's just water dripping. It just... I don't know what it was. I honestly don't know what it was. You know, there is no shadow moving behind that. There's just nothing there. Whatever it was moving behind that chair on its own. I don't know. As you can tell, I'm probably putting off going up there. But, oh, Jesus Christ. I could just hear noises all around me. Right. Let's do this. What the hell was that? What the hell was that? I'm sure I heard something. I don't know. It's probably just the wind.
At the time, he dismissed theories that it was a shadow or light trick. To him, it looked like a figure, something moving intentionally, not by chance. He spends several minutes psyching himself up to return to that same area, trying to work through his fear. The way he describes it, the figure had appeared behind the chair for just a brief moment before vanishing. On this return trip, he once again feels watched, and the sensation only intensifies the closer he gets to the chair. As the video progresses, strange noises begin to escalate. He frequently hears creaking, what sounds like distant footsteps, and sudden thumps coming from other rooms. Though he tries to explain some of it away, maybe water dripping or debris falling, it becomes harder to ignore when the sounds seem to react to his movements. His gimbal malfunctions multiple times, freezing and losing power even though the battery is fine. Eventually, he makes his way upstairs, despite every instinct telling him not to. The upper level feels even worse. He hears scratching and thumps, and for a moment, he thinks he sees something duck behind a door. Though he checks the rooms and calls out, no one responds. There are no signs of squatters or animals, only silence and the overwhelming sensation of not being alone. One of the most chilling moments comes when he stumbles across an old hospital bed and mentions how out of place it feels. While examining it, he hears what sounds like something rolling on the floor nearby, a noise with no visible source. It's the last straw. His voice shakes as he admits he's done. Whatever is in that building doesn't want him there, and he no longer wants to find out what it is. The video ends with him safely returning to his car, still visibly shaken. He admits he has no explanation for what happened, and states definitively that he will never return to that hospital alone again. Sam, the woman behind the channel, Sam Walks a Lot, is no stranger to venturing into eerie places. Her channel is filled with quiet yet immersive solo hikes through haunted woods, forgotten ruins, and places thick with folklore. But one of her most unsettling experiences came during a solo walk through the infamous Daring Wood, better known as the Screaming Woods, a place near the village of Pluckley, often labeled the most haunted village in England. The forest has earned its chilling nickname from decades of reported paranormal activity.
There is something that seems to be woven into the history of the Screaming Woods that has drawn me here today. The Screaming Woods, officially known as the Daring Woods, stretch just beyond Pluckley's border, with Pluckley being the most haunted village in England. On misty mornings, the gnarled trees stand like silent sentinels, but as darkness falls, they become something else entirely. Legends claim that you can hear blood-curdling screams in the middle of the night, carried by the cold Kentish breeze.
Locals have long claimed to hear blood-curdling screams at night, see shadowy figures darting between the trees, and even encounter ghostly apparitions in broad daylight. For Sam, who approached the hike with a mix of skepticism and curiosity, it was the perfect spot to explore alone. Her walk began like many others. The scenery was peaceful, birds chirped, the trail was calm, and nothing seemed particularly out of place. But the deeper she went into the forest, the more the atmosphere shifted. The woods grew denser, and strange noises began to surface.
Did you hear that? Been in a few minutes and strange noises already. According to the legends, these are the screams of the people that died here. I'm hearing whistles. There's the wind, there's the rain, and I'm hearing whistles. Well, better keep our eyes peeled. Where do the legends come from? Are those screams tricks on nature, or they're really the echoes of the tragic souls that never found peace? And above all else, what really happened here to fuel all these legends?
Soft metallic clinks, distant whistles, and what sounded like faint voices carried by the wind. The noises didn't stop. They grew more persistent, each one more difficult to rationalize as natural. Sam documented 2 specific legends tied to the forest.
One of the stories here at the Screaming Woods is that of the highwayman of Fright Corner. The highwayman was killed here with a spear thrown at him and then impaled into a tree, and he still roams the woods around the area of Fright Corner, which is literally just on here. And every time I talk about ghosts, there's some noises that are going around. And he still jumps out at people hiding behind the trees like he used to do when he was alive. Another ghost that is said to roam around here is that of the Colonel. Now, the Colonel is described as a shadowy figure. Is said to be a military man, possibly a former soldier, or a landowner from Pluckley. The noises around here. Like many other figures of Pluckley's haunted lore, his identity is not known, and is often seen dangling from one of the trees around here.
One was of a ghostly highwayman supposedly murdered in the woods, and now said to lurk behind trees, appearing to lone travelers. The other was about a mysterious military figure, known only as the Colonel, whose spirit is said to be seen hanging from a tree in full uniform. The forest, already unsettling, seemed to grow quieter each time she mentioned these stories, as if listening. Adding to the tension were 2 well-known urban legends tied to the woods. One claimed a mass death occurred in 1948. Another told of 4 college students who vanished in 1998 under mysterious circumstances. These stories have circulated online for years, often repeated in paranormal forums and YouTube deep dives. However, Sam made it clear she found no official records or evidence supporting either incident, and suspected they were likely made-up tales to boost the forest's terrifying reputation. Despite debunking the lore, she couldn't shake the unease. The forest energy felt heavy. Her camera began acting strangely, shaking, glitching, even shutting off momentarily, something that hadn't happened on previous hikes. Her voice, normally confident and grounded, grew quieter. It was clear even she was beginning to feel the weight of the place. Throughout the video, Sam never captured a definitive paranormal moment. No shadow figure, no clear voices, no ghostly silhouette behind her. But what she did document was arguably more disturbing. The oppressive stillness, the escalating unease, and the sense that something unseen was very much present. The woods didn't need to show a monster to feel haunted. They simply were. As she made her way out of the forest, Sam reflected on the experience. She admitted she didn't have proof of the supernatural, but she no longer doubted the stories people told. Whether it was the weight of the legends or something truly inexplicable, she felt watched the entire time. And it's that feeling, the quiet, creeping dread, that makes this video so effective. Sam's experience reminds us that not all terrifying encounters come with jump scares or shadowy figures. Sometimes it's the silence that unnerves you most, the way the wind shifts without warning, the way your instincts scream that you're not alone. The Screaming Woods may not have lived up to its loud name that day, but it whispered something far more disturbing. A reminder that some places carry a darkness you can't always see, but you can definitely feel like you always do. Let me know what you made of this encounter. On March 19th, 2025, a YouTuber known as Safety Third uploaded a video that quickly stirred conversation among urban exploration and survival fans. Known for exploring abandoned, remote, and often dangerous environments, this time he ventured into a location that many wouldn't dare to approach, a forgotten mine shaft tucked deep within the Appalachian wilderness. The video begins with a long, quiet hike through overgrown roads and eroded mountain trails. Guided only by a few vague references and an old mining marker, he climbed high into the Black Mountain Range in search of what was rumored to be an old auger mine, one that had been left to decay for decades. The hike alone was no joke. Steep inclines, washed out roadbeds, and debris from rock slides made the terrain almost impassable. Eventually, he discovered what looked like a mine entrance.
Or augers. That was collapsed inside. That may be part of something bigger. Means we gotta keep our eyes open. Obviously. Not like I haven't been, but these may be leading into mines. More augers. Man, all I want is a giant concrete entrance jutting out from the mountain. That is all I want for Christmas. Right after I said that, I see this. That is just a coal scoop. That is all that is. Just one of those coal scoops, man. I don't know. That is definitely the seam. I wonder why they do that. Maybe it's like a prospect, you know, just to check and see what quality it is. I may need to look at that bank. Old barrels, maybe washed down from the top. You know, the strip mine, maybe. Looks to be what that is. Just old barrels. They're in this washdown. It's a pretty severe washdown. That's probably where they're from.
Mostly concealed by thick brush, collapsed timber, and the remnants of an old barrier that had long since given way. The air grew colder as he approached the gaping black hole in the mountainside, and the silence was nearly total, only broken by the sound of distant water trickling underground. With his flashlight in hand and GoPro rolling, he crouched down and entered.
Is that mud? Holy crap, y'all. That's just a giant, unstable work area. I think it's filled with mud. Sounds muddy. Like quick mud. Water coming everywhere. Look how wide this thing is. That is crazy.
Inside, it was a different world. Water pooled along the floor, rotted wooden beams bowed under their own weight, and parts of the ceiling had already collapsed. The tunnel was wider than expected, far larger than a typical coal seam. This was the first red flag. It didn't look like standard mining work. It looked rushed, unregulated, and potentially unstable. The deeper he went, the more signs he noticed that suggested recent activity, strange runoff patterns, fresh debris, and areas where the ground seemed freshly disturbed. About halfway into the shaft, he entered a section where the mine widened into what looked like a massive underground cavity. Mud, rock, and fractured wood were piled around a central depression in the ground, an area that looked like it had recently collapsed or was close to doing so. One wrong step could have pulled him in for good. While there was no ghost, monster, or shadowy figure in this video, there was a different kind of fear at play. The idea of being trapped down there beneath layers of stone and history was enough to raise the tension without anything overtly paranormal. He didn't push much farther after discovering the unstable cavity. It was clear the structure wasn't safe, and the signs of active water erosion suggested the tunnel could collapse at any moment. As he backed out, the darkness seemed heavier than before, as if the tunnel had swallowed up the light just a little more than when he'd first entered. Safety third eventually made it back into daylight, visibly rattled but unharmed. He never claimed anything paranormal happened, and the video remained grounded in reality. But for viewers, the takeaway was just as intense. With this final encounter, I'll take your leave. You know what to do, but if you don't, let me remind you again to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment about what you liked and didn't like about this video. We want to improve our video quality so you get the best videos possible. In about 3 seconds, there will be more disturbing videos on screen for you to watch, and with that, I'm out.